Hi, Steffi. Last time I said welcome to the circle to Jordan. This time I'll try to get it right. Welcome to the Love Pod. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's such a pleasure to be here. You nailed it.
You know, you do the best you can. Some days are better than others.
Yes.
So, how are you feeling? Congratulations, first of all. You're going to have a baby. What?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. I know that was on the DL for a while. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to release this out in the world. Yeah, I'm okay. I've had a little complications in the pregnancy, but I'm hanging in and baby girl's healthy. So I'm due
Oh,
right around
good.
Halloween time, fall. So that's, my favorite time of year.
It would be great if she was a Halloween baby, like
Right. I mean,
on the
I
day.
don't know if I could hold her in that long. She's due like late September, early October,
Oh,
but
yeah, that is
I told my doctor, I
concerning
was
if
like,
you know.
is it super toxic for me to want to hold her in all the way into October? He's like, yes. I was like, okay.
Yes, absolutely. Do you have a name picked out? Are you have the nursery ready?
So I
All right.
actually psychically and intuitively, she's been telling me her name for over 2 years. And it's been coming
Really?
up in the weirdest, strangest of ways. And so when I found out I was having a girl, I was like, oh my gosh, like that coincides with the name. Cause I wanted just a healthy baby. I don't care what gender.
Right.
But even my husband was like, oh my gosh, that's wild. Like we're seeing it everywhere. We're seeing it like written in, sand even.
Oh, that's so exciting. I cannot wait. I'm so excited for you. The universe is expanding, the circle universe. Alex and Gina just had a little girl,
Oh,
and I think they might be the first ones to like have a baby since the show. Others have
yeah.
had kids, obviously, but that
Right,
is so
right.
exciting.
Oh, thank
Now,
you.
you are a hot topic on Reddit. I have to say, I know. Whenever I say Reddit, everybody gets a little nervous.
PTSD.
It's all good. It is all good. Nobody said anything negative. We wouldn't share it even if they did. That's not what we're about here. But there are so many questions. I genuinely don't think we're going to get to them all, but we will
Oh
try.
my gosh. Well, thanks to everyone who submitted a question. That's so kind. And I
Yeah.
love I love to answer anything I can.
Yeah, some of them I know I've seen some of your lives and some of the posts. So some of them we've already answered. I try to kind of eliminate some of those, but people have the same questions and they don't always see it. So we'll
Yes.
go with it. All right. So our first question, we'll kind of go down the timeline here, is what was it like applying to be on the circle?
Oh, well, this is interesting too, because this was another psychic hit. I follow all my intuition. That's honestly how I thrive in the world.
Sure.
But I guess the longest story short is a lot of my friends, when the show came out, originally, I got text messages saying, like, Steffi, have you seen this show? You would be so good for this show. And I had never heard of it. And then I binged it and loved it. And so every
Mhm.
single time I would see, the circle applications are now open, I would go and I would chicken out. And I'd be like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't. And then it was interesting. I was doing something called automatic writing where I have a journal and I kind of just stream of consciousness, like channel whatever's coming
Sure.
through my fingers. And I wrote London and then I wrote TV show. And I was like, that's weird. What is that about? And I was like, wait, The Circle was produced in
Mhm.
London. And then it was June-ish, and I got this I got this email from a producer who was from London who said you should apply for this TV show. It was not The Circle. It was a different TV show.
Okay.
And I never ended up getting it, but it was so weird because at the same time the applications were open. And I was like, you know what? I might as well give it a shot. And the rest is history. I just kept on going through the auditions. And I was like, oh my gosh. So maybe the channeling was for The Circle all along.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Now, I had also seen you were working on an Amazon show a while back. Did anything come of that? Are we going to see it in the future?
Yes, I have two other TV appearances coming. One I can't talk about yet, but that'll be in July. And then another one is
Okay.
a Amazon TV show that's coming out in August.
Oh, that's so exciting. We can't wait to see you again. We did not get enough of you on the circle.
Oh, that's so
So,
sweet. It's more of like a talk show. It's not necessarily reality
okay.
TV. So
You know what? We'll take what we can get.
oh, that's so kind. Thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited for those two.
I'm excited for you. Now, oh, geez, here we go. That was
We
a
got
long
it.
question.
It came up for a second. There you go.
How many other seasons of The Circle have you watched? You said you binge watched it. And do you have a favorite season and player?
Oh, that's so good. Yes, I've watched all the seasons. I also watched the France version, UK versions. I oh my gosh, I always loved Raven. Like her energy was always so kind and soft. And now I've gotten to hang out with her in person a bunch, and it's exactly the energy that she shows on TV. She's even kinder and more amazing in person. So I always loved Raven. I really liked Alyssa from season 4. I liked the Spice Girls. Who wouldn't?
Yes,
Millennial
I forgot.
girl.
How did I forget about that? That was great.
Right? I love it. Gosh, I love strategic players too. So like Delisa. I mean, yeah, there's so many.
Yeah. I know it's hard because even getting to meet you guys virtually and seeing, these villain reputations for some other cast members from various shows, it's like everybody's so nice in person and people get bad raps. And it's like, how could you be so nice? And I'm like, because they're so nice. It makes it easy. And you can't pick a favorite. Everybody's just awesome.
I know. I have to
And
say, everyone is so kind and great. And what you see on TV is not necessarily what the person is in real
yeah.
life.
And speaking of changing and being different, Jordan is here. He says hello. So
Oh my
hi to
gosh. Hi,
Jordan.
Jordan, my sweetheart. I love you.
And then changing messages. If you could go back and change your opening message to send it to just a few people, would you have changed the message? Who would you have sent it to?
Oh, that's so interesting. Gosh, I don't even know if I would change my message because I think my opening message was like, my back hurts, or like, did I permanently damage my back from all the jumping, which was so legit because like, you have to come in with energy
Yeah.
when you get into your apartment for the first time. I just felt like my apartment was so catered to me and I was so
Yes.
excited. So I tried not to overthink my beginning message. And I feel like, because sometimes you can come in and say, oh, I want to say this first or that first. And I just wanted to be
Hmm.
authentic in that moment. If I were to just message one person, Lauren was the first person I kind of just zoomed in on her energy and her picture. I loved her
Yeah.
right off the bat. So I think I would have messaged her first, just something like, hey
Okay.
girly, what's up? But I don't think I would have changed anything. I mean, I really am happy with how I opened the game, I guess you could say. And then it snowballed from there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that was a terrible opening. Obviously, people thought you were the AI, and we'll get into that. But as far as you don't want to, hey, what's up? You got to stand out a little bit. So I thought it was great.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, seeing Brandon's tears. I really related to that because it's like you're going off of no sleep. There's so many elements. There's
Yeah.
cameras on you and lights, and and the messages come at rapid fire. So it is a lot. And you just have to be authentic to yourself in those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. I think hindsight is 2022. What we're watching, it's easy to critique because it's already happened. But you guys are living in that moment.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Looking back, is there anyone you wanted to or wish you formed an alliance with?
I was begging to talk to QT. I mean, I was begging. I loved her. And also, part of my strategy was reading auras, and I saw her aura was bright yellow, and they never included
Okay.
this in, but I said she's going to be the most strategic player of all of our cast. I just got chills saying that because she was so strategic, and I kind of in that moment was like, I need to align with her because she can protect me, even though she's scary and could potentially turn on me. I was like, I really liked her energy. So that was the one person I wish. I wish, I wish, I wish.
Do you think your intuition really guided how you felt about the players before meeting them, obviously, and how you played the game?
Yeah, absolutely. And going in, that was a huge part of my strategy, but it also was a lot of pressure on me because the game is so you have to be adaptable and flexible in the game.
Right.
And so even though my intuitive hits were steering me one way, the game would move another. And so you kind of have to like bob and weave with that. So it got kind of hard to, I would say, differentiate my intuition from my pragmatic, logical brain and strategy. So
Okay.
that those lines got a little blurry at times.
Understandable. Did you learn anything or feel like those lines blurred by living in isolation for that long of amount of time?
Yeah, absolutely. My brain bullies me a little bit. I really got in my head a lot and overthought a lot of things. And I journaled and, I tried to take care of my mental health. But again, just the elements of the game, it was such a high pressure situation. And I mean, there were times where I felt like I definitely fell into like people pleasing or not standing on my boundaries as much as I should have. So it wasn't like the easiest mental health journey for me, at least, being in
Sure.
isolation.
Sure. And that brings up another great question a fan had is, did producers give you the option to talk to somebody, maybe a therapist, or at least chat with a producer so you didn't feel so isolated?
Yeah, so you have a therapist that's on hand. They say if you need to talk to someone. When everyone was coming at me, which they didn't show a ton, but there was a time where almost everyone turned on me like publicly, and I was deteriorating, and I would just said like I need to talk to someone, like my mental health is really suffering. So you do have sources available, but it's interesting like talking to some of my castmates after. I was like, did you talk to the therapist? And everyone was like, I felt like I'd be penalized if I asked for the therapist. Like you don't want to be like, I'm unstable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was tough, but I think I already knew I was going out anyway. I knew I was getting blocked, especially that last day. So I just said I need to talk to someone, and then throughout the process, even afterwards, and when the show comes out, and you're getting a lot of that energy towards you in comments and hate comments and things like that. They're still available, which was really lovely.
That is good. I mean, I think I would have been like, forget the game. Let's talk, therapist. Would you like to come to dinner? Please have a seat.
Absolutely. Because I was like, I want all the tea from all the other shows you've worked on. Like, tell me. And it's so funny. The one thing I will say the therapist said is the people I see the most are the people who are portrayed as villains on the show. And they're always the nicest people. And they have the
Hmm.
hardest time because the image or how they're being perceived is not necessarily who they are. And after the show came out, I was having like difficulty with that too. So that's interesting. She said it's like a common theme she always sees in many TV shows
Yeah.
she works on.
I've wondered if there is like a specific industry for therapists in reality TV. Cause I
Yeah.
know with the unscripted, you can now, they're working on making that happen for potential cast and cast that has been on shows. But that has to be just hearing the stories and the crazy messages you guys get and bullying and death threats. It's like, it is
Yes.
not that serious.
Oh my
And
gosh, it's not that deep, but it's that those
no,
those mean comments just land so much like stronger than sometimes the love. It's interesting to like really have awareness of, oh no, I'm also being supported in this way when you're getting so much hate as well. It's hard.
yeah, I'm sure that's a difficult balance. And speaking of, how have you found fans treated you after the show? Did anybody surprise you on either end of the spectrum?
Oh my gosh. I I kind of was a little naive with how I don't want to say crazy with how passionate the viewers are. And the way my edit turned out, I was a little disappointed with how they kind of construed and flopped things around to kind of make me I watched it back and I was like, that's not what happened. That's so crazy. And then people started hating me or commenting, especially in this one moment where I broke down crying, and they didn't even show context of why I was crying. And so that was really hard to watch back. And even in the moment I was watching that, I was like, oh my gosh, what? That was creative with the editing. Like, wait, hold on. And then
Yeah.
that's the moment where I just got defiled. And so, the first couple days I read some of the Reddit. I was like a masochist and went on Twitter, and it was so bad for my mental health. But I also have really lovely, amazing people that have reached out and supported me. And, all of us, all of the castmates, we kind of had an open dialogue to like, hey, like I just said to them, hey, like I'm getting so much attention. Like TikTok put me in an anti-bullying program. Like, can you guys please, like, I just need to talk to someone about this. And everyone was so supportive, and we all have each other's backs. And then, then it kind of moved to Perez, and then it moved to Jordan. It's like all of us had a target at one point or another.
Right.
So it did surprise me, yes, because at the end of the day, it's just a TV show, and we're caricatures of ourselves, and we're not really in control of what they produce or edit. And so, yeah, it was difficult to to uh to see the comments coming in, and I kind of had to take a little bit of a social media break for sure. But, you
I
know.
I don't blame you. I started applying to a different competition show, and there were so many questions. And then you get to the end, and just for the application, the terms that they want you to sign off on I mean, you're basically signing your life away. There's just no
Yeah, no,
good luck.
absolutely. Right. And that's what we signed up for. So, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. There's a
Of
certain type
course.
of like acceptance of, okay, yeah, well, I'm not going to be loved by everybody. I already know that from doing what I do, right? Astrology and being a psychic. So I knew I wasn't going to be everyone's cup of tea. So that I already knew. But I think then seeing the way people reacted to me, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, all right, well, all right. That's all I could do. Laugh and move on.
Yeah, you have to have a good either brush it off or just know that at the end of the day, these people don't know you and it doesn't matter because people crazy in real life, even crazier behind a computer screen.
Oh, I know. I know. And I just try to
Was
send them
there
love and energy back. Like, all right, you must be
That's
hurting a
good.
lot to personally find my page and reach out to me in a DM or find my
Yes.
email and leave me a death threat. Like, that's really, really diabolical on your part. I hope you're okay.
Oh my gosh. And I can't imagine the level you guys get it because we're not a huge show. We're very lucky to talk to you guys when we do. And I interviewed Shake from Love is Blind, and somebody tracked down my Facebook page, which I don't put out there, messaged me calling me all sorts of expletives, like really creative ones. I wish I would have saved the message. I have to go back. I sent it to Shake and I was like, I cannot believe just for talking to somebody who has a villain reputation, who is
Oh
actually a
my
very
gosh.
nice person.
Yeah, and I'm
And
so
that,
sorry you had to deal with
oh,
that
I don't
too.
care. No, I don't care. It's the only one I've ever gotten. And, like you said, you just know that maybe that person is hurting and having to go through it. But just funny that any level of hate, and then you guys have so many more messages to go through. But hopefully, you're getting a lot of love too. Was that something surprised you?
Yeah,
Like the amount of
of
support?
course. And my intention going into the show, one, I just loved the show and I wanted to have fun, but two was to make connections or to possibly inspire someone who is intuitive or likes astrology and these modalities are really helpful. So if I could inspire one person to lean into those things or trust their own intuition or, lean in with those gifts, I wanted to help at least one person. And I think I accomplished that with quite a few people who are DMing me saying like, thank you for supporting this space, the spiritual space. And I also read tarot cards and I'm also a psychic, but I'm closeted. And so that made me feel, so good. And I hope more people can go out there and spread their wings and use their intuition, like I'm trying to,
Yeah. We actually got a lot of questions about your psychic abilities. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Did you freak out any of the producers with your psychic abilities?
Yes, every day. Every day. Even during the audition process, my casting director called me and was like, "You're freaking people out because, you go through such an intense audition process. I'm sure you've heard of the contestants talking about this before. This isn't just like you submit a video. I mean, you're going through like several rounds and then you have to go to network.
Right.
And then even when you get to Atlanta, you still have to do a screen test. You still have to interview. I mean, you never know you're going into the circle until they call you on a flip phone the morning of or the night of. So it was wild. So, but since I said I'm going in there and I'm using my intuition, I had to basically prove it the entire time leading up. So, depending on who would interview me, I'd have to give them a reading or whatever. So when I got into the circle, it was interesting because right away they put pressure on me, like, you have to guess who the catfish are. And I was like, I don't even care to catfish
No.
hunt, because that's not a huge thing. But
Yeah.
they were like right away. And so before I even opened up any bios, I just looked at all of their profile pictures and I said, okay, Olivia and Paul are the catfish. And I knew right before I even read or looked or even had any conversations with them. And so my producer came on, like, it was dead silent. And then she came on maybe like an hour and a half later and she's like, Steffi, you're the real deal. I can't say anything else. I was like, okay. And then at one point I was doing a tarot reading or whatever. And my producer was like, we're on lunch. Like, will you give me a tarot reading? I was like, sure. And I like hadn't seen her, cause it's the voice of God. And I said, there's something about like, there's like shells, like in someone's hair, there's shells, or there's something going on with that. And she had put shells in her hair that day, but I'd never seen her. So just kind of weird, funky things like that. Or someone would come on or come into the room to change my mic or something. And I'd be like, what's going on with your dad? Like, does he have an illness? And they'd be like, yes. And then I would just give him readings, So yeah, I can't turn it off, but it's so wild because there's so many crew members. There's 200 plus crew running around. And so I would feel their energy all the time. And so that was also really overwhelming.
Yeah. How do you kind of filter through that and then still play the game?
I couldn't. That's why I think I started to deteriorate and second guess my intuition, because there'd be times where, again, like they'd have to change something in my room and they're instructed not really to talk to me, or, like they want to keep us in isolation. And every now and then someone would come in and be like, can you read my aura, or can you give me a reading? And I was just like, oh my gosh, I would love to. But then I would. And then I was like, oh, I'm drained from that. I needed to have better boundaries, and it was tough for me, but also fun. I'm glad that people were excited that a psychic was in there.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you know this, but you actually inspired our end segment, which is spirit animal card readings.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
When we started watching the show, we were just kind of thinking of like fun things we can do that would be, we could do online. And so I have this deck of spirit animal cards that I got in honor of you.
That's a great deck.
And if you're willing, I'm going to flip the switch a little bit. And while we chat, I'm going to ask you to pick a number from 1 to 54. Let me know the number and I'll pull that card for you. And at the end, we'll go over it and you tell me if it applies at all.
Oh, I would love that. Oh, thank you
great.
so much.
Yeah. So I think you're the only one who has inspired an actual segment on the show.
Well, golly, thank you. That's amazing. And I'm happy that you're doing animal card readings for people, because they probably need it too.
There's only been one. I think Jordan's was the only one that maybe didn't really apply. And everyone else was kind of same thing, shocked. And I don't have any psychic intuition or anything like that. I just pull the cards as they are.
Yeah, but those divination tools are great to start at beginning, and just tapping into your intuition and just kind of believing in something greater, right? I think those type of cards are fantastic for that. Oracle decks or animal cards. I love it.
So pick a number between 1 to 54.
So 53 is the first thing that I heard when you said 54.
All right, I got it. And then while we're chatting, what got you into tarot?
Oh gosh, I've always been a little witchy my whole life, but it wasn't until I was 18. I actually got into palm reading first. And I went to, it was like a senior all-night party. I don't know if that happened. Did that happen at your high school, where it's like?
No, but I've heard of them. Yeah. They did them in Florida.
Yeah. It's kind of like, oh, it's the end of the year and everyone, stays up all night and they throw a little like event. And so at this all-night party, there was a palm reader and I think a tarot reader and maybe a handwriting analysis person. And so when she was reading my palm, I was like, this is cool. But I was like, I kind of wondered if there was a different way to interpret it, because I was 18 and she was like, okay, you're going through a transition. I was like, well, duh. Like everyone here is graduating and moving away or whatever. But I started to learn palmistry. And then when people would, show me their palms, I would start channeling, but I didn't realize I was channeling like intuitively. And through that, I just got gifted my first tarot card set as a graduation gift from one of my girlfriends. Oh, nice. And they always say too that if you're gifted your first tarot set, that's actually like you're like the sign of the witch or something. And that's still the tarot deck I use. And that's been, I'm 35 now, so do the math. I've been using that deck for it's had some love put in there.
Did your friend know that you were into that, or was that just a random? Okay.
Yeah, I've always been, I always told ghost stories that, when I always saw ghosts too. And so I would always say, oh my gosh, my house was haunted at the time. So yeah, I always kind of led with that witchiness. I don't think I said I was a psychic until I was much older, but yeah, I think she knew. And that was so sweet.
Good. And we do have somebody watching on YouTube. KK says, hi, Steffi, and hi, Skeleton, whose name is Herbert, obviously.
Hi,
Come
KK
on
Herbert. I
now,
love you
KK.
and thanks for watching.
I think Herbert is, obviously Deuce is the star of the circle,
Of course.
a number one, but
Can't
Herbert's a
deny.
close second. Yeah.
We love all living and dead things in the circle.
Do you practice Reiki?
Oh my, I love these questions. These are phenomenal questions. I am not attuned to perform Reiki, but I have Reiki and energy work done on me all the time. I do Reiki sometimes when I'm doing like a past life regression, but I'm not trained in Reiki. Sometimes I'll Reiki like my food or candles, or if I'm doing a spell or something. But yeah, I'm
Okay.
not trained in it.
And then I think the last one that's not specific to the show at all, but to your psychic abilities and your intuition, do you do birth chart readings?
Yeah, absolutely. I love reading birth charts. I do full natal chart readings, transit readings. I do astrocartography. Yeah, I also have a course that teaches you how to read birth charts too. It's a huge passion of mine because, gosh, you just can learn so much about yourself and your karma and your purpose all through your birth chart. It's all laid out there like a little blueprint. So I found out about my gifts through my birth chart, and then I just read for all my family and friends, and then eventually started a business.
Speaking of the business, let's see if I could pull it up here. You have a podcast.
Oh my gosh, you're
So,
so sweet. Yes, I
will you
do.
tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, of course. So my podcast is called the Psychic Scoop podcast, and we talk about everything spiritual, but we also talk about mental health or ghosts, paranormal, past life regression. I do astrology transits on there, kind of a slice of life for everybody. And just if you're trying to walk along the spiritual journey or learn a little bit more about yourself, I think the podcast is good for that because it has a little bit of everything for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. And I went on your site and you have so much information. It's so interesting. I didn't realize there were so many different charts to read. There's, so many different ways to look at past lives. It is so interesting. I really did not realize I should have known, but it was that in depth.
No, my gosh, no. I mean, I think it's just so interesting. The more you can discover about yourself, I think it helps you. I've always been the type to take, like what kind of bread am I? Those quizzes, or like what pizza am I?
Yeah.
I always was interested in those BuzzFeed quizzes or whatever. But it's also just it goes so much deeper than that. And what's your sign?
Yeah.
I'm curious what your sign is.
Oh, I'm right at the edge of Aquarius. I'm February 18th, so like the very last day.
Oh, I
Or
love
sometimes
it.
people say Pisces. Yeah.
Yeah, but Aquarius suits you, but you probably do have some Pisces placements too because you're so empathetic.
Oh, thank you. I try, I just however I turned out is how I turned out. So you're
Same.
back. Okay. Back to the show a little bit. We'll tiptoe back in. You had mentioned that Max had a specific color aura. You mentioned QT was a yellow. What aura did you see for the other contestants?
Yeah, so Max was a purple blue aura. And that also really freaked me out when they said there was an AI in the aura because I was like, every picture was real. And I saw auras because I've seen AI produce, pictures and videos, and they never have an aura related to them. So, and then we found out after the show that there actually was a real Max. I don't know if you saw his TikToks, but
Yes,
this
I
this guy
did.
named Griffin, yeah. So I was like, Griffin, I knew you were real. I read your aura. But yeah, that was also another part of my strategy was reading auras and seeing who was going to be more strategic or who I could align with. And it was really fun to read everyone's aura. And then also the horoscopes was a part of my strategy as well. I was looking at the transits in real time, like where Jupiter was, where Mars was, and seeing, whose sun sign, because I couldn't get their birth time or anything, but I was kind of in
Sure.
real time seeing who had the most potential to win based off of the astrology and their auras.
Okay.
So
Was
I did a lot.
Brandon the one who stood out the most?
Well, I said at the beginning of my auditions, I said I didn't want to align with a fire or an air sign because they had the most probability of winning based on previous seasons and based on
Oh.
transits. But Aries, there were many, many Aries winners in the past. And so when I found out Paul was an Aries, he was target number one. So that's why I went for Paul as hard as I did at the
Uh-huh.
beginning. It was all strategy that wasn't shown. But Yeah, that there was a rhyme and a reason for everything I was doing in there, including the readings.
Are you ever able to turn your brain off from all that and just kind of zen?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yes. I've learned to turn it off. If I'm out to dinner with girlfriends or my husband, I'm able to relax. But it's funny, even sometimes if I'm drinking alcohol, it's almost like the veil gets thin. And I've stopped people at the bank, the grocery store, the women's bathroom, and I'm like, hey, your loved ones are here. I try not to do that because it freaks people out. But
Uh-huh.
when spirit's loud, I have to deliver the message because I feel like I was given this gift for a reason. But there's also times where I just need a little bit of me time, and
Of
I'm really
course.
good now at. I think since I started having a business, it's nice. I'm like, okay, these readings I have. This is the time I turn on my okay spirit. You can come on in, and other times I'm like, I'm just watching, The Circle on the couch or TV or whatever, and I need to just chill. So yeah.
I wonder if anybody like just doesn't make their presence known and just sits and like hangs out with you and watches The
I
Circle
hope
or
so.
follows you.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean that would
Just
be
ghost fangirls, you know?
right. Herbert, me, and the ghosts hanging out on the couch watching The
Yes,
Circle.
just chilling, watching The Circle.
Yeah, I'm sure.
My mom is watching and she wants to know, I already know the answer, but if you do private readings.
Yes. So for mediumship readings, I'm booked out for a few years. And I just closed my books for one-on-one astrology readings, but they might open back up. I also have like aura readings I do and transit readings, and those are all available on my site. So yes, of course, I can help your mom out. I love that your mom is into it and watching. Hi, mom.
She is. Hi, mom. Her name is Joan. She actually recaps or is going to start recapping the episodes with us.
Oh, that's so
She's so
awesome.
fun to have on.
Oh
Yeah,
my
she's
gosh, I can't
awesome.
wait to
She's so
watch her.
fun. She came on with Joey and because she loved Joey from season 1 and it was mom, I love you. It was so adorable. I think she was trying to to set me up with Joey, but we're like 15 years apart in age. But yeah, my mom's awesome and she says hi back.
That's so
Now,
sweet. Hello.
we are at the halfway point in the show, which means it's time to play a game.
Yes, I
So,
love games.
we have now I think 5 games. I just added a new one. Not unfamiliar. I added truth or dare, so that's an option 2. But we have truth or dare, pick a partner, icebreakers, and pick a partner is when you choose one of your cast members that you would do a potential situation with, like post a podcast. Never have I ever and would you rather. So pick a game, Steffi.
Oh, those are all great. Okay. I'm gonna go with either icebreaker or pick a partner. So whatever one you
All
think
right.
you wanna play too.
Normally I would say pick a partner, but I added some new icebreakers. So
Let's
let's
give them a
start
whirl.
there. What's the most common misconception about you?
Oh gosh. That I'm a devil worshiper.
Okay. That's definitely something.
I mean, I think people just get freaked out because I channel, but I'm just a normal human being like everyone else. And I think everyone has psychic and intuitive gifts. So I think people instantly think if I meet them on the street, I'm going to tell them how they're going to die or when they're going to die or that I'm always channeling for them. And I'm not like, that takes a lot of energy for me. So I think a misconception is that just people just don't know who I am and or think I'm a scammer or that I'm doing evil things. And in reality, I'm just wanting to heal as many people as possible. So maybe that's a misconception.
That's quite a far cry from the vibe I get from you and our interactions and chatting. So, ugh,
Thank you.
get rid of those people in your life.
Thank you. I get like at least one you're a devil worshiper every day. So
That's
I
nice.
now they kind of make me laugh, but yeah, no. No worshiping over here.
Yeah. All right. On a lighter note. Oh no. There we go. If you can ask your pet one thing, what would it be? And if you don't have a pet, let's ask Herbert.
I grew up with pets, but I don't have a pet now. If I could ask my pet one thing, oh my gosh, I would probably want to know if they've ever been human before or if we've had any past
Okay.
lives together.
All right. I like it. How about what is a skill you wish you had?
I mean, supernatural skill or like real people skills? Because that would be cool to fly.
Either. Yeah, both.
Uh,
Let's do one of each.
a skill. Ooh, I'm not really like sporty. I feel like it would be cool to be really good at like or you know what? Okay, I'm gonna take this back. Playing an instrument. I feel like that would
Okay.
be amazing. Used to love to like play on a keyboard, but I never really knew how to play. But I would love to learn how to play the piano.
I bought a keyboard 3 years ago and it sat for 2.5 years just collecting dust, and finally I gave it away because I just couldn't. There's always
Right.
things that you
It takes a
yeah,
lot of practice and you really have to like master the skill. So I understand. But yeah, if I was just naturally good at playing the piano and could whip it out
right.
and play little like show tunes or dueling piano, that'd be fun.
How about if you woke up to be the last person on earth, what would you do first?
Oh my gosh, the last person alive. Well, first of all, that'd be so sad.
Maybe everybody else just relocated to another planet and
Yeah.
you're staying behind to close out the final
I
the
know
final
that. I
check.
mean, like, I feel like I would one be like depressed. Um, I would just walk. I would honestly, this is what I would do. I would just walk around and like take in the scenes and the sights and probably go into some empty stores and just explore. I know that's a boring answer, but like if I'm being realistic with what I would actually do, I would just be wanting to like scope out the scene and get all the information I could. And I'd probably do it naked, right? You'd like
Okay.
do some kind of stripping or
Free.
streaking and be free.
Yeah, you don't have to. I don't know if I'd go completely naked, but you've at least got to like, I'm not going out put together. Let's go with that. No,
Right.
there's no
Like,
one there.
yeah, hair up in a messy bun in a robe and like explore the Target, right?
What what else have we got? Oh, this is a good one. Okay, if you had to start a rumor to win your show, what would the rumor be?
Oh my gosh. I need to ask Jordan how to start rumors. I'm joking.
I should have asked him that one.
I know, right? Start a rumor. Ooh, that's so tough because you don't want to like spread a misinformation or like hurt anyone's feelings. I think the biggest thing for me is I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings or do anything out of malice. But I would probably just do something like, oh, they told me this or they said this about you or something. I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't think I do not think I'd be able to lie and say a rumor. If anything, I would if I was leading with the psychic thing, I would be like, I have a psychic prediction that this person would win, so everyone would turn against that person. But gosh,
Oh, that's a good one.
you know,
Ooh, Steffi, you
like
might have
I'd
just
say
unlocked the
I'm
secret.
an intuitive or I'm an astrologer, and this is maybe that's depending on how my strategy was going at that point. If I was still in the game, I would say, well, the reason I'm getting your astrology is because I know who the winner is going to be, and it would be this person. So maybe that's the only rumor I would start.
Yeah, not all rumors have to be bad. I mean, it's just something that maybe isn't true.
Yeah, but in a game to win money, they usually got to be bad because you want to get them out, you want to get people out of there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do feel like when they had the like the secret alliances, they're like kind of polar opposites. There were some people trying to hype up, like Miles and Brandon or Olivia, and I don't know that we saw as much of it as was played in the game, but
Mhm.
that did make me, at least as a viewer, suspicious. I'm like, I don't know if somebody suddenly started talking up someone they weren't in alliance with previously. I don't know if I'm buying it.
Yeah, I agree. I would be so sus on especially that combo was the most interesting for sure. Yeah.
What is the last super weird thing you searched on your phone that you're willing to share with us?
Oh my gosh, super weird. I don't I'm kind of boring. I mean, honestly, pregnancy is like really whack. So you'll search things like, is my baby like gonna actually I can share this with you. So I had an ultrasound a few weeks ago and my baby was staring at the camera, which is very rare, and it looked
Okay.
like a little demon baby. And so I searched up demon baby ultrasounds to make sure there are other like people in the world. I'm like, or is this my child? Because I love Halloween. Herbert, she like looked like Herbert in the picture. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you on
You should.
Instagram.
We got to
It,
do a side by side.
it is so terrifying. Dude, I was like, all my friends, Steffi, of course that's your baby. So I searched up like Dina, demon baby ultrasound photos. And I shared them at a baby shower yesterday.
And now you're at an FBI watch list. So
100%. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, we'll do one last one and then we'll get back to those fan questions. What brand would you want to be the face of?
Oh my God, Spirit Halloween, obviously.
Of course. Of
So I
course.
could
And
get
what
free,
costumes are you wearing?
right,
Yeah.
those costumes are pricey. I mean, like I would want to get some brand deals for that, right? Like I can't pay for this every year.
No. And you only have to do it for like a month a year. That is a good one. Yeah.
Right? It's
You get
seasonal.
you get the awesomest decor for your house.
I would be honored, to be honest.
We'll put that out well, now it is out in the universe. So
It's out there. Someone heard it.
All right. Back to the circle. What was the morning alarm like and how did you fall asleep?
So the morning alarm was your producer saying "Good morning" through a loudspeaker, and then they turned down all the lights all at once. Falling asleep was really difficult for me, and I brought my own sound machine, which I did not get approved. And it was funny because in the beginning of the morning, they want your stream of consciousness, and you kind of have to talk through like, oh, this is what I'm thinking today is going to go, and this is how last night went. And one time I forgot to turn my sound machine off and my mic was on, and my producer was like, what's that sound in the background? And I was like, oh my gosh, like my sound machine is still on. They're like, you have a sound machine? I was like, is that bad?
No.
But it was, it's so being, again, the psychic stuff. I'm very like sensitive to environments, and especially if like things are haunted, which the circle was not, thankfully. So I always like to have like sound machine or noise canceling and my eye mask and things like that. So
now you guys have restrictions on like how much you can pack, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did Herbert get there?
So Herbert had his own carry-on that we had to ask. Like Netflix basically said like you have to bring Herbert, and I was like, well, you got to give me a second carry-on bag because I'm not gonna pack my blow dryer around him. Like he's huge, he's 6 feet. So I actually have another photo of him. It's so funny. We like crunched him up in a little like carry-on bag, and he went to Atlanta. And also it was kind of nice because it was like a second bag, so then I would tuck in some makeup or like roll up some leggings. So I got some extra room, which you're only allowed one bag, so I got a little extra. But what's so funny is they confiscate the bags right when you get in, or not confiscate, they search your bags.
Borrow them. Yeah.
Well, they just want to make sure you're not bringing in any electronics or cheats or anything like that. And so Drew, one of the people on the casting team, he opened up my bag and just saw the skeleton. He's like, okay. I was like, yeah, that's Herbert. It was so funny because these people don't know who we are, why we were being cast, or like they haven't gone through the audition process. They're just there like on the day. So that was so funny to see him open it up and see a skeleton. But he was like, okay, like he had seen a billion skeletons. Like he was completely like fine with it.
There has to be weird stuff people had in their bags. Herbert's
course.
not a real skeleton, right? He's a plastic skeleton.
Yes, he's plastic.
Okay, just making sure.
Yes.
How'd you get that? We could have a Herbert hour, but we'll move on.
Oh no, people ask me the weirdest questions about Herbert. They're like, "Are you intimate with Herbert?" I'm like, only on Tuesday. Like so creepy. I'm like, he just stays in it's like I don't hang out with him like on the show ever. He stays in one place in my office. Yeah, and that's it. But
he's not like your cuddle buddy stuffed animal that you're in bed
absolutely
with.
Not. That was very much encouraged on the show, and it's so funny because you have to be in certain places for lighting and sound, and they'd be like, where's Herbert? And I was like, oh, he's in the bathroom. Like, you need to grab him and put him on his mark. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like they wanted him to be in every shot. They're like, he needs to be on your back. You need to be hugging him. I was like, oh my gosh, people are going to think I have this weird affinity with the skeleton. Yeah. And sure enough, they did. Like they did. And I don't blame them for that assumption.
Yeah, it did look like you guys were real, real close. I think we saw Herbert more than we saw Deuce.
Yeah, or me even. He had more screen time than me.
Yeah. Did producers ask you to voice your thoughts as much as possible out loud?
Absolutely. You always had to stream of consciousness, or even if there was a time where you were like doing a rating, it was really imperative that you voiced every single strategic move you were doing. And it got to the point where my voice was so raw and it hurt because you're basically talking for 20 hours of the filming day. So I would like, my voice would crack and it would get so raspy. And I think there's even a point where Miles is blocking me where it was like cracking and I was like, like, 'cause it's just so much talking. But it was really helpful to hear your thoughts back about the strategy and things like that. So I actually did like that part of the process.
Did you have notes or anything that you took during your time for the game?
Oh yeah, I took extreme notes, just like intuitive notes, and then every single conversation, I would write down transcripts of those conversations. It got to the point too where if we were in the middle of a conversation, I would write down what I wanted to say, just because it's really difficult to voice text someone. That was another thing because even in
Mhm.
text messages, your voice is different than you and I speaking right now. So that was a little
Right.
bit of a learning curve too, because it's almost like you'd have to have this perfect button response for, what you're saying back to someone. And not only does it have to be funny, it has to be imperative to the strategy and you have to use a hashtag. So it got difficult. So writing down helped me kind of compartmentalize that part of the game.
Did they let you keep your notebook?
No, they confiscate it. I was blocked first, so I was able to keep like my journal and things like that. But yeah, no,
An
they weren't.
injustice, really.
Yes.
Did you get to interact with the producers often, or do they kind of keep you isolated? You talked about this a little bit, but
Yeah, I mean, without sharing as much as I can, I mean, you do have voice of God, so producer, and it's also just they're helping you with the next activity because
sure.
otherwise you're just sitting around staring at a wall or playing a puzzle, and they have to be like, "Hey, no, we're going to this next thing," or "Do you want to schedule time in this room?" So you do have to have help in that arena because you have no idea what's going to happen that day, and it's always unpredictable.
How do they schedule that time when you want to go to the gym or the hot tub or anything like that?
You kind of request it at the beginning of the day. You can say like who you want to have a chat with, and if there's any activities you want to do. And so you kind of have a request. And I say request loosely because it was never followed. Like I didn't get to chat with anyone I requested ever.
Oh
I think maybe,
no.
yeah. And then I think there was one time I kind of begged for a little bit of fresh air. I was like, I need to go outside because I hadn't been outside in like 5 days or something. And so if it's a mental health thing, you can just kind of say, hey, like I need to leave the room. And they were pretty, I think they were pretty like accepting and flexible when you needed to do that.
Yeah, I would hope so because staying in, I'm a homebody as much as probably
Same.
most, anybody, but you got to know that there's an outside somewhere sometime.
Oh, I know. And especially since it was so repetitive, like, the games and the everything in that apartment, you're like, I just need to see outside. That's all.
And a lot of people always ask us too, but about the food and how you guys get groceries. But how did you cook? What was kind of your eating schedule on the show?
Yeah, you have a grocery list you can submit. One thing I will say is the first day I was there, I got like most of my groceries, but not all of them. And so I was going to make like a salmon or a chicken breast or something. And I had no like oil spray or cooking spray. I didn't have salt and pepper. I was like, I'm going to eat this chicken bare with like, I don't think I've boiled chicken since I've been like in college. You know what I mean? So it was funny. And I was like, and then I think producers started to notice, or crew, I don't know, noticed that I wasn't eating as much because I didn't have the materials. And finally they're like, why aren't you eating? I was like, well, I don't have anything to cook on. They're like, oh my gosh. So the second day they rushed in there and got me like pans and stuff like that and oil and stuff to cook. And I always cook like salmon. I love salmon and lots of snacks, like pretzels, popcorn, hummus, carrots, veggies. But honestly, a lot of the frozen foods is what all of us cooked because you didn't know how much time you had to eat things. So you'd throw in a pizza, and then a game would start. So if you wanted to cook a full-fledged meal, which I love cooking, you didn't have the time.
Did you notice at all? I heard Miles set a couple of fires. Cassie is not a big cook. Was there any indication that there was potential fires happening in the building, or you guys had no clue what everybody else was up to?
No clue. No clue what anyone was doing, which is kind of interesting. You thought about the other players a lot. You dream about them and you wondering what they're doing and what their apartments look like, but no, you have no idea. It's really just you, like main character energy when you're in there.
What was the vision you had of the winner?
Yeah, so I was a little disappointed they didn't include it, but the entire time I was in the circle, I kept on waking up and saying I was having these dreams, which I was. And I said, it's a white male with a round face and very, very big cheeks, like big smile. I said
I don't know who that could be.
short brown hair. And I said Midwest. But you know, what's interesting at that time, the only person who fit that profile was Max.
Oh,
So
okay,
but
that's
I
right,
knew
because
But I knew Max was a catfish. So I knew that from day one. And so I knew something was wrong with Max too. I wasn't fully clocking he was an AI, but I did. Toward the end, I was like, I think he's the AI. And they didn't include, I did pendulums on Max. I did tarot cards on him. Meanwhile, everyone's coming after me for being the AI, but I'm like, what's up with Max? Like I couldn't like put the two and two together until I was finally blocked. And I was like, oh my gosh, Max is the AI. But, I kept on saying, like, I see this white male with round face. I said it every single day I woke up. So that was
I
Brandon. But I just didn't know
it
it.
absolutely was Brandon. I mean, you knew Brandon or Olivia was a catfish, you said, but you don't know who is playing that catfish.
No, I didn't
I
know what he
thought
looked like.
I thought it was interesting when people were choosing who they thought was the AI, everybody kind of came for you. And I'm thinking, now again, I can see you. I know you're not AI, but I would think if AI is trying to pick like the most common features, it's not going to be a super standout personality because they want to blend in, right? They don't want to be caught on to. So the fact that you were the one that got voted out as potential AI was really surprising to me because you have such a unique personality, unique hobbies and interests. What that would be the opposite of what I would think. So when you were kind of going through it, were you surprised as well, other than the conversations of what other people's perceptions of AI was?
Yeah, and that's the other crazy thing watching back versus being in there. Like, I didn't know I was the main AI suspect at all. And I did that yoga session and, I did some horoscope readings. So I knew that was a little too much attention on me, a little too early in the game. And then I was one of the only people that kind of threw a stone in the wrap. So I did have a lot of attention on me a little earlier in the game. But I thought like, well, no, I'm being true to who I am and I'm calling out a catfish and I'm just doing my special interest. So I didn't think, but there was this AI photo game where almost everyone came after me. And that's when I started sobbing and got really upset because I had no idea.
Yeah.
And they were calling me fake. They were saying fake smile. I'm glad you do something like other than talk about astrology. I mean, they were throwing like really hurtful things about who I truly am as a person. So that's that moment where I break down crying. That's when I was having the realization that I was being attacked. And also too, I was like, am I the villain? And like, does everyone hate me? And then I was like, I feel like I'm a kind person, but then they like, they splice it to
Yeah.
make it look like it was just this feud between Paul and I, which it was actually much greater than that.
Yeah, they're filming you guys, I would imagine 24/7 other than maybe shower and bathroom breaks. So how much
Mhm.
can they realistically show of what was it like 8 to 10 people an hour? I would say an hour a week, but like 3 hours every week or however many
Right.
episodes.
It's so much footage. And I don't blame anyone for the way
Of
whatever. They
course.
have a job to do too, but they have to sort through so much footage and, between each person, like you said, 10 players and 20 hours a day.
Mhm.
That's a lot of footage.
What did you say when your exit interview got cut off?
So I said exactly what I just told you. I said it resembles a person with a white male with a round face and short brown hair and Midwest. That's what I said.
Okay, so it was just explaining who you thought it was.
Yeah, because also, in those exit interviews, you're very much encouraged to throw people under the bus and
Right.
because what you say ripples the game, right? And so
Right.
Miles and I had a great conversation. I was at peace with his decision and I didn't blame him for it. It was so tough. And it was interesting because even when I like threw him under the bus at the end, I said I'm like, Miles and I are fine. I was like, but I think it's kind of ironic. And it was like kind of a joke. And they,
Uh-huh.
of course, cut off like the joking part. But him and I are fine. Obviously, we're good friends now.
Of course.
But they said you need to pick who your prediction is. And I said, well, I'm not going to say who I really think, which was Olivia. I thought Olivia would win. But I said, I'm not going to say Olivia because she's my number one alliance in the game. And I don't want people to come after
Yeah.
her. Because even though you're blocked, your mind is still very much in the game. Like you haven't had time to process. You get whisked away to this interview right away. And you're like still coming to terms with the fact that you're gone. So you don't want to throw alliances under the bus. So I wasn't going to say Olivia. The only person that really fit that description was Max. So I kind of just said
Sure.
the round face thing and I would just let them assume who they want to assume. And I didn't know if any people later in the game were going to come in who matched that description. But it's interesting because even when I said it, the producer's face was like, kind of like, whoa, his eyes were big. And I didn't know if I was what I
Why?
was picking up on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I
And
said.
then you got blocked. And I know your situation was a little bit different because of how late the scheduling was for your blocking. But what happened in your case when you got blocked? And then what would normally happen when somebody got blocked?
So you go back into sequester, which for us in Atlanta was hotel rooms, and they really try to quarantine you in different sections of the city. So I just went back to the hotel room I was in, quarantined in before I went on the show. And then you still don't have your ID, your wallet, your phone. So you still are very much being
You're just
supervised.
stuck.
You're stuck. You have a flip phone that you can call like two contacts on, play Snake. I played Snake every day. But you have a little more freedom after you're blocked because most of the people are still in the game. So they don't worry about your identity as much because at the beginning, you're anonymous. You don't want to like run if, someone was taking me out and Lauren out and we ran into each other on the street. So, I would just ask them for outings. You got maybe like one outing every couple days. So I like had a margarita, I went to dinners, I went to the aquarium. Like it was great. Like after I was out of the game, obviously my mental health wasn't great, but I was having a good time and they took really good care of me.
Once other players start to get blocked, are you guys allowed to interact at that point or
Nope.
no? I
Nope.
didn't think
And
so.
that's what I was upset about too, because I was trying to get like, the talent team to tell me like who is blocked and what's happening. And they're not allowed to, and so every now and then I'd be like,
Understandable.
but I was still getting psychic hits, even though I was out of the game. And sometimes they'd be like, Steffi, like, who told you that? And I was like, so I am right. But no, you're not allowed to, which sucked because there are times where you just want to talk to someone, especially someone who went through it like you did.
Of
Even when
course.
Miles came to my room, I mean, we were talking for a long time because it's the first interaction you have with someone and they're playing the same game as you. And there's just this mutual respect and love and understanding. So I really enjoyed talking to him, but I didn't meet anyone really besides him until the finale.
I'm so glad to see when the cast really gets close. And I've seen you guys have gone to LA, I think like 3 or 4 times this past month, obviously for various Netflix related events, but also genuinely like to hang out and keep in touch. And it must be nice to have that kind of community.
It's so lovely. I love my cast so much. And in no other way would we all be friends. We all have such different interests. We're all from different backgrounds, we're all different ages. And, no one took anything personal that happened in the game. We're all just
Yeah.
so understanding and loving toward another. And I think that's like one of the best experiences I gained from this show.
And then, of course, the question we always like to wrap up with, would you go on another reality show?
Oh gosh, I mean, listen, I wouldn't say no to the opportunity, but it was not what I expected.
Sure.
Maybe the AI twist was a little traumatizing for me.
A little much for you.
a little much, but I love competition game shows. I love the Traders, I love Survivor, I love all of those strategy type games. So
Mhm.
I would never say no, but I would have to really think about the opportunity.
Well, we know you're coming up on other shows. You said July and August, I believe, right?
Yes. Yep. Mhm.
Okay. So we'll keep a lookout for those. We will play one more quick game because you pick a partner. We'll do that one next.
Perfect. These are
I'm
so
not even going to
fun,
pull up
Dina.
the
Thank you
graphic,
for
but
putting this all
yeah.
together.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it's fun to just do something a little different. We get a lot of the same questions, so it's nice to be able to
break it up a little.
do something a little different. All right. Pick one of the following of your fellow cast members you would do this scenario with. Pick someone to operate on you.
Operate on me? Oh my gosh. I mean, the only person, okay. I mean, the only reason I wanted to say Miles right away is because he has like that engineer brain.
Sure.
But who would like actually make sure I live? Probably Lauren.
Okay. Who is the last cast member to make you genuinely laugh?
Wait, last one? Like meaning
Yeah.
the least funny?
Like, sorry, the most recently.
To make me laugh, genuinely laugh, Caress, for sure. We were together a couple nights ago, and she's just so funny and so quick and witty and making pregnancy jokes, and she's great.
You have to save the world. Who is the one person you're relying on to save the world with?
Lauren, for sure.
Okay. I think she got a lot of hate for being genuine, but it was funny because the same thing, like you guys were both being genuine. And it is what it is.
Committed crime with QT, for sure. She would hide all her tracks. She would know. She would know what to do.
How about partner with on another reality show?
Jordan. He knows everything about reality TV. He's so smart, and I love his brain. So I think he would be fun to be on a reality show with.
And then we'll do one last one. Pick one to run for office with.
Oh, run for office. I don't know. Kyle is very well liked and he's an Aquarius, and I feel like that rules popularity. So probably Kyle.
Okay. All right. I like it. And then we will go back now to your spirit animal. Let's see if I can pull this
I
up
can't
on
wait
the
for this
screen. Now, because I use a virtual background, it's kind of hard to show this, but I will post it later. You got,
I can't see. Yeah.
I don't know where he is. There
Is
we
it
go.
tiger?
Kind of.
Cougar.
It is a cougar of leadership. You have come into your own power. Now is the time to take lead of a situation and be strong. Using the power of intentions, be clear with your purpose and define where you are heading.
Beautiful. I love it. That so resonates, of course. I love it so much.
Oh, good. All right. Well, Steffi, thank you again for coming on. Please tell us where we can see you, follow you, listen to you, all that good stuff.
Oh, well, it was such a pleasure. Your questions are incredible. You have such a good spirit, and I love you and your podcast. So it was such a great experience.
Thank you so much.
You can follow me. I mean, you have it all up here. It's amazing. You can follow me on Instagram at spirit_sis or TikTok spiritsis. My website is spiritsis.com, and also check out my podcast, Psychic Scoop. Scoop podcast.
Not everybody can see. So I always like to ask because a lot of people listen obviously on Apple or on Spotify.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I think I covered them all.
I think so too. And then if you want to follow the Love Pod, of course, we are at Love Pod Podcast. You can follow us, rate, review, subscribe, do all the normal things that you would like to do to support us. Again, thank you, Steffi, for coming on. We love you. We love everybody for watching, and we will see you next time.